Today will be a day to remember for the rest of your life. The Pro Football Hall of Fame is excited to present the heart of a Hall of Famer program connected by Extreme Networks. With over 100 Hall of Famers participating, we have reached 47 states and countries all over the world, sharing the message that football is more than a game and can teach Americans important life values like commitment, integrity, courage, respect, and excellence.
But you have to make right decisions even when nobody's watching you.
Well, respect is not just given out. It's not handed out like a brochure. It's earned.
Today, you are presented with an opportunity to meet and learn from one of the greatest football players of all time. But more important than that, the chance to see that their Hall of Fame life wasn't given to them. They didn't roll out the bed great. They put the work in, on the field, in the weight room, in the classroom, in their communities. They made themselves a Hall of Famer on and off the field.
Your feet can't take you where your mind's never been.
Because you can make it, but it's just gonna take a little hard work, and some effort, and the drive and determination.
And today, you will learn you can do the same thing they did. You don't have to have a gold jacket or a bronze bust to make a difference in the lives of others. It's your decision whether you want to be a successful student, son, daughter, brother, or sister.
If attitudes are contagious, is your attitude worth catching?
It's integrity as well, because when you decide to pursue something and you don't quit, that says a lot about you.
Commitment to excellence. We can all aspire to be the best.
Welcome to a once-in-a-lifetime program, the heart of a Hall of Famer program, connected by Extreme Networks.
Thank you, guys. The lesson is simple. The lesson is simple. Bring your will and perseverance to everything worth doing. When the reward is sublime, the risks are higher, and you must embrace the uncomfortable to go into that rarefied air of excellence. Our family foundation supports a variety of charities. We believe in our young generation. We believe in our special ops soldiers and their families. Our motto is what you give will grow and what you keep will perish. My hope and prayer for all of us tonight is that we will always possess a generous spirit of giving, love, and compassion for each other.
All right, with that, I'd like to welcome everybody here to Livingston Collegiate Academy in New Orleans, Louisiana, for our latest installment of the Pro Football Hall of Fame's Heart of a Hall of Famer series, connected by Extreme Networks. Today, featuring the one and only Morten Andersen, and we'll bring him here. He's going to sit in this chair here right beside me here in a second. My name is Jake Ray, and I'm the Youth and Education Manager here at the Pro Football, not here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, but at the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio. And I'm going to be moderating the session today, this Q&A that we're going to have. Our mission at the Pro Football Hall of Fame is to honor the heroes of the game, to preserve its history, to promote its values, and to celebrate excellence everywhere. Those values we promote, and it's kind of cool. You guys got some sweatshirts on. I see some of the values that we celebrate. I have on this sign right here behind me on those sweatshirts too. Values like commitment, integrity, courage, respect, and excellence. Values that not only make our Hall of Famers great football players and Hall of Famers on the football field, but they make them great men off the field, great fathers, sons, brothers, members of their community, employees in a business. And those same values that they use to be great football players, all of our students can use to become better students, become better sons and daughters and members of their communities. I'm excited today to hear how those values impacted Mr. Andersen's life, both on and off the field, and a little bit about his journey through his illustrious NFL career. Before we do get started, I have some few thank yous I'd like to pass out. First off, I'd like to thank our great partners at Extreme Networks that help us put this program on at schools all over the country. They do a lot of great things for us at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, but most importantly, do a lot of great things for schools all over the country. So thanks to them for helping make this program possible today. Secondly, I'd like to thank our teachers, administrators, educators, anybody that shared this program or allowed us to come into their classroom today to be just a small part of their learning experience, of your students' learning experience. And then lastly, the students. Without you guys here, this program doesn't take place. Nobody wants to hear me ask questions for an hour. Nobody, we want to hear from you. We want to hear what you have, what questions you have, and we're going to hear from some pretty awesome schools all over the country today. To kind of give you a little bit on how the program is going to run. So we have some great students right here in front of us at Livingston Collegiate Academy. You guys can't see them, but they're literally just right on the other side of the camera. We're going to get some questions for them, and then we're going to go around robin throughout all of our groups we have connecting in today, all of our interactive groups as well. And then we're also taking questions from our Zoom audience. If you're watching us on Zoom and you're viewing only, use that chat function. Send us your questions. We'll be going to Jerry Shockey back at the Pro Football Hall of Fame for some of those questions. And then lastly, our Facebook audience. If you're watching us on Facebook today, whether you're a fan or a student, a teacher, put your question in the comment section. We've got Jerry watching over those questions as well. So without further ado, I'd like to bring out somebody who spent 25 seasons playing in the NFL, a member of the 80s and 90s NFL All-Decade team. He's a 7-time Pro Bowler, a 5-time All-Pro, and kicked 565 career field goals. So without further ado, please welcome Hall of Famer, Mr. Morten Andersen.
Welcome home. Welcome home. What's going on, Wolfpack? How we doing? Awesome, man. Great to be here.
So pretty much what we're going to start out. You see these 5 values behind me: commitment, integrity, courage, respect, and excellence. I think it's cool, on the back of their shirts, you can see some of those values too.
Awesome.
How did those values help you as a football player become what some call the greatest kicker of all time? But most importantly, how did it help you become a better person, and how did you use that off the field?
Yeah, I think where I want to start, thanks for having me, number one. And hello to everybody out there in the universe. We're excited. I'm excited to be here. This is like a homecoming for me. As you said, I played 13 years in New Orleans, so it's special to be back here, guys. I would like to start by saying that the greatest gift we can give each other, and if you're in a position of privilege, is an opportunity, right? We can't do anything without the opportunity to do it, and to be able to tee it up. We talked about my family foundation, the intro a little bit. That opportunity to help others, to help the next generation, and tee it up for them so that you can be your best, tower above the rest, as your signs say. That's powerful testimony, right? We can't do it without each other. And so for me, living an authentic life is so important, guys, just to stay true to yourself. And of course, the values that the Pro Football Hall of Fame embodies, that doesn't come easy. That's something that has to be done with discipline over years. It has to become a habit. It's not a Monday thing or a Tuesday thing. It's a 7-day, 365 habit that we have to develop. I talk a lot about making our positive behavior dominant. And what that means, the only way we can do that, whether it's in the classroom or on the field, making that positive and training that, you have to do that with discipline over a period of time, so that it becomes second nature to you. So if you're a football player and there's a certain play that you want to master, well, it's not just going to happen. You're not going to wake up one day unless you're a phenom, right? There's only so many Michael Jordans in the world. There's only so many, Walter Paytons in the world, so many Alvin Kamaras in the world, who just are natural guys. So we have to work at it. And so I think what the Hall has taught me, what football taught me really was, yeah, I want to be as good as I can be, but also I realized I was part of a bigger thing, a team, so that if we all do what we're supposed to do, like we fit like fingers in a glove, you know what I mean? That's where the power comes, the power of us, what a lot of little is, the details in the job, right? Doing the little things right every time. That starts to accumulate, that starts to add up to a powerful life, a productive life. where your positive behavior becomes dominant, because there's no other way. There's no space for negativity. There's no space for anything but what you are forcing to make happen. So you guys are so powerful. You're so powerful humans. There's so much potential. We have to unlock the potential through opportunity, and then you start adding these values and doing that consistently, and it becomes a habit. It's a long answer. It's a complicated answer, right? And it's individual to each person, whether from your background, but it's so important that we live an authentic life, and then we add these things in: the discipline, the integrity, and then you guys will have powerful, positive lives as long as you have an opportunity. And clearly, here at Livingston, right, you have the opportunity. Now, what are you going to do with it? And everybody out there, what are you going to do with the opportunity? Are we going to get on the train and leave the station? Or are we going to stay and get on the next train? There's no greater time than now to live in the be present, guys and girls. I mean, be present, be mindful and intentful, live a purposeful life, but be right here, right now. There's no other place you could possibly be anyway than right here, right now. So that's my little bit of wisdom from 61 years of life, is to embrace, and also embrace the distasteful, like I talked about in my Hall of Fame speech. Everybody, if your hands are above, this is not when you develop, right? This is not when you improve, is when your hands are above the head and everything's going great. The time we really grow as humans, that's when your back's against the wall. You're in what the military call the world of suck. I don't know if you've heard that word, but it could be basic training, right? It could be two-a-days in football. It could be getting up at 6 and going, and lifting weights in the winter when it's dark. The easy choice would be what? You know what? I'm going to sleep another hour or two. But you do it. You do it because you want to create this special bond, right? This, not only with your teammates, but you want to do the distasteful, so you can smell the roses, right? So I know it sounds a little, it's a little philosophical, but Zen-like, but it's so important to embrace the world of suck, if you will. I tell you, if we didn't have another 45 minutes to go, I think we could end it right there. I think, we covered all of our bases. I don't know. I feel very passionate about it.
And I think that's a great.
I hope it resonates. I hope it makes sense to you. Live an authentic life, a powerful life, man. And don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask for advice. I humbled myself many, many times, still doing it, still learning every day, guys, still learning. And to ask questions and ask for help. We're not mind readers, and so let's connect on a human level, ask questions, let's communicate, authentically and without bias, right? That's to me is the great, we're humans, we're all humans, regardless of color, of race, religion, any of that. We're humans that we can relate when we have respect and we respect each other and our journeys, we can resonate, man. We can connect. You know what I mean? So that's all I got on that.
Awesome.
I don't know if I answered your question.
I tell you what,
I don't know if I answered your question, but
if you didn't, it's fine with me. I think there's a lot of great stuff that students not only here, but all over the country. And even, we've got some adults in the room. I'm sure there's teachers, myself, we can all pull something from that. Just because we're, out of school and in the workforce or retired or teaching, just those values still apply to our lives every day. We're going to go out to our schools, and the first school we're going to go out to Maple Heights, back home in Ohio. Well, my home, not your home, back home, my home in Ohio. So Maple Heights students, go here there and unmute your microphones and ask our question here for Mr. Morten Andersen.
Yep. Davion, you're up. You're on the air.
What are some situations or events that took place in your life that you would say had a significant impact on your character?
Well, it's a good question. It's a tough question. I'll try to keep it a little briefer than my last answer. I don't know if you guys know, but as a 17-year-old boy, I came to America. I didn't speak a lick of English. I didn't speak the language. I didn't know anybody in this country. I was an exchange student from Denmark. I was born in Copenhagen. So the intent was to be here for 10 months and then go back home to Denmark and play soccer. I was a good soccer player. I think to answer the question is, when I landed here, I had no intention of staying here for, so far 44 years, right? I had plans on doing 10 months and then going back home, but it changed my life. Football changed my life. The introduction to the game changed my life. I wanted to play soccer. The high school team didn't have a soccer team. And my host family, I was living with a family with 4 other kids for those 10 months. And they asked me if I wanted to try to kick a football. I didn't realize the ball wasn't round. When I saw the ball, I was like, what am I supposed to do with this thing? And I put foot to ball and it started flying. And so I think as I grew to love the game and got really disciplined about it and becoming the very best I wanted, that I could be, within that struggle, within that journey, I think my character, I developed a certain amount of, not only discipline but a hunger for excellence. I think that's the best way to put it. Like, there's so much there. There's so much potential there. Let me see how good I can get at this. Did I ever think I was going to sit here in a gold jacket and have a bronze bust in Canton, Ohio, and have a big fat ring on my finger that symbols that you're in the Pro Football Hall of Fame? No, I didn't. But again, what a lot of little is. And so that journey started at Ben Davis High School as a 17-year-old exchange student. And, I'm still living a dream, still living the American dream. So I would say it started there on August 19th, when I was 17 years old in Ben Davis. It was a watershed moment for me, and very powerful, and changed my life forever.
Very cool. Very cool. All right, our next question, we're going to go right to our students in Livingston. Anybody got a question? Go ahead whenever you're ready.
How important is accountability to you?
So the question was for everybody that couldn't hear that, how important is accountability to you, both on and off the field?
It's paramount, right? When we talk about being a team or a unit, or whether it's a family unit, whether it's in your classroom or on the field, you gotta make sure that you can count on your wingman. Accountability comes from consistency and intent. We'll go back to my earlier statement about living a purposeful life. If you don't have an authentic intent to do something, then you're not going to be able to do it powerfully. And accountability, man, is at the root of that. Accountability comes when I can trust you, you can trust me. I got your back, you got my back, and I can take that to the grave. It's a bond that is created. It's a bond that is developed over time, over consistent behavior, where we create habits, powerful habits. There's a saying I use a lot, is powerful, productive relationships based on powerful, productive communication. You need to tell me how I can help you get to the highest level, and I'm going to tell you what I need from you to get me to the highest level. And then together we will get there. But if there's an inconsistency and an imbalance in accountability, we will not get there. So it starts with clear, authentic, powerful communication, expectations, and consequences. So choices, decisions, consequences. If those all align and you and I are on the same page, we will have accountability, we will have trust, and we will crush it.
Very good question. Very good question. All right, we're going to go back out to our schools. Send it back over to Ohio, to Beaver Local Schools. So the students there at Beaver Local, go ahead and unmute your microphone. I have a student step up there, state their name, and then go ahead and have them ask their question.
Hello, I'm Aiden Price from Beaver Local, and question I would like to ask you, sir, is what sacrifices did you have to make on the long journey to becoming an NFL Hall of Famer?
That's a good question. It's
at age of 17 probably was a pretty big sacrifice.
Well, here's the thing. If you choose to do the difficult, which being part of a team sport is difficult, it requires that you give up other things. It requires that you work extra after school. It requires that you get up early in the morning. So you're sacrificing time spent with friends, at night, getting your rest, eating right, hydration, all these things. So sacrifices come in a variety of shapes and forms when you're an athlete. But most of all, the time that you're spending doing what you love to do in order to get where you want to go is the biggest sacrifice. Time away from family and friends, that's a big one. And but to me, the trade-off is awesome when you see the results. And the results don't come right away. It's just small wins, small wins that come and that gives you that little taste. And give me some more of that. Give me some more of that feeling. You know what it's like Friday night after a game and you just won. And you're sitting in the locker room with your buddies, your teammates. Sweat's dripping off your body, man. And you got dirt and blood and whatever else, from the game, from the battle. And you're sitting there and you say, man, did I sacrifice today? Yeah, you sacrificed. Was it worth it? Look around. Smiles on the face. And that feeling of accomplishment, that we did something together that's bigger than us, I don't know. It's worth the sacrifice. A good question. I'm having a hard time giving you a short answer, but yeah.
No, I think what you mentioned that instant gratification. And I think, I'm in my late 20s and, so I had the social media and I had all that growing up. These kids have access to so much today all over the country. And that is a huge thing. That instant gratification is something that's real prevalent now. And
it is.
I think, like you said, those small victories, lead to that bigger piece. So you have to be okay with those small wins and a win every now instead of getting the full plate of everything.
Yeah, I want to make a point too. And you bring up a really good point because, you gotta remember, I grew up with no internet. There was no World Wide Web. There was no cell phones. My first cell phone was the size of this shoe. It came in like a big box. All right. And, it was extremely expensive and not very convenient. But the amount of information that you guys have available to you now, you have to almost be guardians about that. You have to be smart about that, about how much you use it, right? And there's so much, there's a lot of, bullying and trolling and things going on social media. Let's just be frank about it. So be really, when I send a thing out on Twitter or Instagram, it's for a reason. It's not just, it's for purpose. I have something I want to say that I feel like that's shareable. So I would be picky about it, at least in my world. And you can call me, okay, boomer, whatever. I am. What can I say? I am a boomer. But be particular about how you use that tool and be kind to each other. I think that's probably really what I want to say is to when you communicate, look each other in the eye. That's the best way to communicate. And do it with love, compassion, and respect. And you can do that when you tweet and do your Instagram and Snapchat and all these things. Just have that in mind. What's my point here? What's my purpose? Am I respectful? And or am I, what's my motivation for communicating this out? And I think if we do that, it's a beautiful tool to have, but it can be misused and abused. And I think if we just kind of take a deep breath and think about what's the point here of communicating, I think we'll be in better shape and you'll stay out of trouble too.
Absolutely. All great keys for students to take away from today. At the beginning of the program, I mentioned our mission statement. We got it up here behind us. And part of our mission at the Pro Football Hall of Fame is not only to honor heroes like yourself who made the game what it is, but everybody who had a moment in the NFL, because who knows what the NFL looks like if they don't have that impact. But the big part of what we do in Canton, Ohio is preserve the history. At our core, we're a museum.
Yeah.
And part of that is to preserve the history of this great game. So part of these programs, we like to give all of our students an insight to what the Pro Football Hall of Fame does and kind of give you a behind the scenes look. So what we're going to do now, we're going to throw it back to Canton, Ohio, to our archives, to where we have John Kendall, a member of our Hall of Fame staff who oversees all of our archives. And he's going to talk a little bit about where he's at, what he does, and probably show you some pretty cool stuff. So John, whenever you're ready, take it away.
Thanks, Jake. Morten, it's always great to see you. I know you've been down here before. Like Jake said, my name is John Kendall, Director of Archives and Football Information, and we're standing in the Ralph Wilson Jr. Pro Football Research and Preservation Center. And when we talk about that mission to honor the heroes of the game, preserve its history, promote its values, and celebrate excellence everywhere, this is an area where we're really focused on each one of those points. We're honoring the heroes of the game, not just the 354 individuals like Morten who have a bronze bust here in Canton, Ohio, but every player, coach, and contributor who built the game to what it is today. We're honoring their careers by preserving their legacies through their artifacts and their documents, and then we're able to craft stories of value, take those values that the game teaches, the commitment, integrity, courage, respect, and excellence, and showcase that to the rest of the world so that the students today can understand that the same values that made you great on the field, Morten, are the same values that can make them a great student, can make them a great business leader. Those values transcend the football field. And so behind me here, we have just a few things of what we collect and why we collect them. We've got pretty much every book ever written on pro football history. This one here is Walter Camp, American Football. Copyright on that is 1891. We have rule books. We have over 55,000 game programs in our collection. This is a college football charity game. It was an exhibition game that pitted the college all-stars of a given season versus the NFL champions. It first appeared in 1934, lasted into the Super Bowl era. 1976, the college all-stars won 9 of those games. So pretty remarkable stuff as it relates to the history of the game. We've got scouting reports and jerseys. Some of the things we have over here related to your career, Morten. Got a couple of jerseys, one with the Saints, one later in your career with the Falcons. We've got a shoe down here. This was game worn that you donated to us. It was the shoe that you wore when you hit most consecutive games scoring points, and that was 187 consecutive games. So pretty remarkable stuff. And then for me, the most fascinating thing that we collect are notebooks on players. And these are really where you get a sense of who an individual was and what made them so great. So, this is one from earlier in your career in the 90s. We've got one on the other side, but, you can see your goals for the season, which are pretty remarkable. So my question for you is, toward the end of your career, as with kickers, sometimes you bounce around a little bit. How did you mentally stay focused on your preparation when you weren't signed with a team and you weren't kicking for a team so that you were ready for that next opportunity?
Yeah, good question. So I'm going to share a story now from 2005. I had just played a year with the Minnesota Vikings. It was my 23rd year in the league. I'd had a great year. So I was thinking coming off of that year in Minnesota, oh man, I'm going to get a phone call right away. Well, the phone didn't ring for 20 months. So imagine like you're at the top of your game, you're still balling, and you can't get anybody to dance with you. You cannot get a phone call that says, hey, we need you, we want you, come kick for us. So for 20 months, I had a bag of balls. I would go to the public park. I would put my Saints helmet on, my Giants pants on, my Pro Bowl jersey, one of the 7 I had. and I would go practice in this public park. I got to know the guys that cut the grass there. I'd buy them lunch. They'd cut the grass for me. When the little leaguers came, I had to defer and get off the field. They needed the field. I couldn't go to a facility. I wasn't part of a team. So for 20 months, almost every day I was out in that public park and the phone didn't ring. People started kind of questioning, what are you doing, man? Get on with your life. You had a good run. I mean, 23 years in the league is pretty remarkable. I was 77 points away, guys, from becoming the all-time leading scorer in the history of the NFL. That was my carrot. That was like, I want to go get that. But I can't go get it if I can't find a team. So 2005 turned into 2006. And now I'm starting to doubt it a little bit, but I'm still grinding. And I'm ready. So if the phone call came, I was ready. And about the third week of the NFL season in 2006, I'm sitting in my basement and I'm watching the Falcons, and the kicker for the Falcons had a really bad day. He missed like 4 field goals. And I turned to my buddy, Eric. I say, hey, I'm switching to water, man. Let's Gatorade, because the phone's going to ring. He goes, phone hasn't rung in 20 months. Who are you kidding? Well, the phone rang. And they go, hey, man, can you come in tomorrow and have a workout? We're changing kickers. I was ready to get plugged in. So I said, yeah, I'll be there the next day. So I thought it was just me, being out there. Well, I was competing against what I call flat bellies. So you remember, I was 46 years old now. Now I got 4 guys up against me. They're 23 years old. They're just out of college. So they weren't born when I started. It was one of those crazy, wild moments. Well, I had a really good workout. There was an orange stripe in the middle of the net. It signaled the middle. I hit that thing 13 out of 15 times. I made all the kicks, and the flat bellies exited left to right. And then I was feeling pretty good. I turned around, and there was a bunch of administrators and coaches watching. I go, questions, anyone? And special teams coach said, yeah, I have one question, black or blue ink? I said, how about black ink? So I went up and signed a 1-year deal. And then 3 months later, in the Georgia Dome, I broke the NFL scoring record. So was it worth it, those 20 months of grinding in a public park, the humiliation of having to leave the field when the little leaguers needed that? I mean, that's what we talk about when we talk about consistency and discipline to try to get to a place. Those 21 months were the world of suck for me. It was brutal, humiliating, degrading even, but I kept going because of that thing that was hanging out there, that carrot, man, that's 77 points. Let me go get that. So whatever it is, you got to tell yourself, to be involved in the process. And the process is not always pretty. That's really what I want to drive home is that's when you improve the most, is when you grind. You grind and you grind and you grind, and all of a sudden, man, you come out of the fog, and here's this sublime, beautiful gift. And when they stopped the game and handed me the game ball, and I gave the jersey to my son, I realized it was so worth it. So I don't even know if I answered your question, but that's the story I really want to share about, practicing good habits, even when no one is watching. Are we doing the right thing when no one's watching?
That was beautiful. Thank you.
All right.
Awesome. Well, thanks, John. Thanks for the insight to our archives, our museum there. I want to go back out to our schools now. We're going to go to Cheney Middle School for our next question. So our folks there at Cheney Middle School, go ahead and unmute your microphone. Have a student step up, state their name, and go ahead and ask their question.
There you go. Right here. My name's Landon, and what characteristics make you? What characteristics make you the most successful?
What characteristics make you the most successful?
Discipline born out of a deep desire to be the very best. Personal excellence comes from deep discipline of doing the right thing every time and learning, but just grinding. So I think that, yeah, consistency in discipline, in habits, creating good habits over time, time tried. You know, I go back to my earlier statement where we're trying to make our positive behavior dominant. How do we do that? Repetition, repetition, repetition. We grind it. How do you catch a ball? You know, if you're a kicker, 8 to 9 out of 10 times, you got to make the kick, right? If you're a baseball player, if you hit a baseball 3 out of 10 times, you're an all-star. So there's different, you know, different levels of what consistency means. But within the scheme of football, I had to be successful 8 out of 10 times. That's a lot to ask. If you're a receiver and you're catching 8 out of 10 balls, doing pretty good. So always set the bar high and be disciplined about it. I think that's the most important thing.
All right. Our next question is going to come from students at Harvey Elementary. So our students down there at Harvey, go ahead and unmute your microphone. Have a student step up and have them ask their question.
We're having a little problem with the microphone here, so if you don't mind, I'd like to ask it. But first off, we love Justin Tucker, sir, but you are the original. Thanks for those football memories. As a native of Denmark, did you ever feel like an outsider to American football in either high school or college when you were in the United States?
Yeah, it's a good question. And what I learned about football, it's so inclusive. And when you know, there's no greater asset that you can bring to a team than your performance. You're right. So if you're good at what you do and if you show a willingness to work hard, I was accepted right away. I never felt, now there was a language barrier for a while. I didn't speak the language. It took me a couple of months to become fluent. Imagine going to Denmark and try to learn Danish. I mean, it's difficult. I mean, if imagine coming to the country and you would hear this, hvordan går det? Har I det godt? Nu snakker vi dansk. You go, what? Well, it's Danish, right? That's a whole different language. So to me, when I was listening to my teammates, I'd be like, okay, I'm definitely not from here. I have to quickly learn the language. That was the number one priority for me. And that was really the only barrier. I never felt excluded from the team. I really felt part of it. We had a good team. We won 11 out of 12 games. We made it to the semi-state. So we were good, and that helps. You know, winning solves a lot of problems, cures a lot of ills. And but I really felt that football was such a, you know, it was very inclusive. I always felt very naturally part of it right away. And I had great teammates that I still stay in touch with to this day. It was one of the most powerful experiences of my life was that high school year. It really was. Formative, very formative. Learned a lot about the American dream. Opportunities in this country that I certainly didn't see in Denmark that I had when I came over here. Just an amazing country of opportunity if you get it. And we have to, I can't stress that enough, that we have to give everybody a fair opportunity to excel and to succeed. And hopefully this program kind of helps clarify some of that. And, you know, we all have to do our part. If you have the ability to make a difference in some young person's life, you must. It's mandated. It's mandatory. It's not a choice. We have to. Can't leave people by the wayside, man. We have to do whatever it takes.
Part of that team aspect you talked about.
Yeah,
earlier.
bring everybody in and give them an opportunity, and you know, and then let go of the reins and let's see how it goes. That's part of mentoring, is to tee it up, give people the tools, give the young people tools, and then sit back and watch, and then guide, nudge, direct. But you know, we all have to get wings at some point. We all have to learn to fly. But every single person is capable of flying their own flight. I can't stress that enough. Be authentic and uniquely you, always. And everybody needs to accept the fact that we're all different and have different ideas and unique qualities that are just amazing. And if we lift each other up that way, we have a better world, guys. We just do. So let's do that together. That's my commitment to you, and I hope you accept that. And I want to see that we can make this country great again. I mean, I'm not a politician or anything, but we can. But we have to start right here in the grassroots, man, and we have to be authentic about that.
We got one last interactive school, and I just got a message sent to me that they got to go. So we're going to go out to them now. Last school is Holy Cross, actually from here in New Orleans.
Yeah.
So we're going to send it out to them for our last question from our interactive group. So whenever you guys are ready, step up to the microphone, state your name, and then ask your question.
Hi, I'm Ashton Castro from Holy Cross High School. Firstly, I wanted to thank you all for having us and everything, and thank you for the talk. And my question is, when did the epiphany occur? When did you learn to embrace the world of suck in your life?
Probably on that field. Well, earlier than that, for sure, because, my hands weren't above my head all the time. I had a lot of distasteful situations. I was cut by the Saints in 1995. They told me I was a declining player, and then I went and played another 12 years at other teams as a declining player. So I don't know, that was certainly distasteful. So I think it was a gradual understanding of this is part of the high performance business. If you want to operate and be excellent up there, at that level, you're going to have to embrace distasteful situations. You have to handle it consistently. You have to, with humility, I think. You don't have to do a lot of talking. Most of my talking was done with my left foot in the games. We won a lot of games, over 100 games on game-winning field goals. That's a lot of games. So understanding that you're a small part of it. So I think it was a gradual, to answer your question. The world of suck is everywhere, and we just have to embrace it. We have to understand that we can use it in a positive way. We can grow from it. It's an opportunity to grow. I have never met a successful person, whether it's in business or sports, who hasn't failed miserably several times. I encourage everyone to fail miserably. I think it's important. Go ahead. When you make a mistake, make it 100% fail, but learn from it and then get back up and brush it off and let's go. And let's go improve. That's it. That's the teaching moment on these situations where you're like, I didn't see that one coming. I didn't meet that opportunity, but next time I'll be ready for it. Yeah.
I think that's a good way. Always learning, always being a good learner and continuing to learn. You talk about getting, when you get a job, you get out of school, students are like, oh, great, I'm out of school, don't have to do any more learning. But there's always a piece of something that you can learn and take away from any experience truly that you're in. So, before we went live to the archives, and that's pretty cool, behind the scenes look of what we do. But when you come visit the Hall of Fame, whether you're in a shriney, you're a normal visitor, the biggest thing everybody wants to see is that Hall of Fame gallery where we have 354 bronze busts on display. So we thought, what better way than just bringing you guys right into the live to the gallery as well. So I'm gonna send it out back to Canton, Ohio, to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, where I've got Nathan Martin.
Let's go to church, man. Let's go to church.
In that Hall of Fame gallery to show you a bronze bust that probably looks a little familiar. So Nathan, whenever you're ready.
Awesome, Jake. Thank you so much for sending it out here. And like he was telling you guys, I am standing in the Pro Football Hall of Fame gallery. So you can see I've got some bronze busts back here behind me, the class of 2017, which includes you, Mr. Morten Andersen. And to kind of put that into perspective about how special and how great of a player you have to be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. In the history of the game of football, there have been over 300 million players that have played it at all levels. So Pop Warner, high school, 300 million. Only about 5 million of those players have been good enough or lucky enough to play the game in college. And it's actually less than 30,000 players have played the game professionally. And there's only 354 players that have one of these bronze busts like Mr. Morten Andersen. And I'll show you guys, I have this whole sheet right here of all these, accomplishments and great things that Morten did throughout his career. But I want to jump here to the bottom to give you some of these more notable ones. It says here, at the time of his retirement, he held the league record for career points. He talked about that. Most field goals made, most games played. And in addition to that, his 40 field goals of 50 yards or longer were the most made by an NFL kicker at the time of his retirement. He's one of the rare players. This doesn't happen very often. You can go look it up. To be named on 2 NFL All-Decade teams. And if you make one All-NFL or All-Decade team, that's not a lock, but that's why you get these bronze busts back here. And he did it twice. 2 All-Decade teams, made over 500 career field goals, over 800 extra points. And he talked about all the Pro Bowls that he had. So you guys can see, and I'm going to zoom in here now so that you guys can see a little bit closer. Let me flip my camera because I'm on selfie mode so that you guys can see this a little bit better. What this bronze bust looks like up close and in person looks just like Morten does today.
The mullet.
Maybe a little different. The mullet there, right there on the bronze bust of Mr. Morten Andersen. And you guys, students, can hear just based on some of those stats I read and the character of the man that you guys have heard today, he is more than deserving to have one of these bronze busts here in Canton, Ohio. So, Jake, I'm going to send it back to you. And Mr. Andersen, thank you so much for being a part of the program today.
All right. Thanks, Nathan. Thanks for giving us an inside look at that famous
pretty
bronze
awesome.
bust right there.
It gives me goosebumps every time I walk. I feel like when you walk through that hall, guys, and I hope you guys have an opportunity to go there and see it. It's like being in church, It's quiet in there, and you start with the very first bust and the history of the game, and then it just unveils itself. It's just a beautiful room of legends, of unbelievable great men and players, and I can't understand how I'm in there, but I am, and it's humbling every time I see my bust up there. It's very emotional. It is.
Very cool. Very cool. All right. I know we got some questions from our Facebook Live audience. So instead of me trying to find them, I'm actually going to send it back to Canton, Ohio, to our studio where we got our Director of Youth and Education, Jerry Shockey, there looking at those questions. So Jerry, go ahead and ask us some of those questions from our Facebook team.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Andersen. Appreciate you being here today, connecting with all these students all across the country. Thank you to our friends. I know the New Orleans Saints are out there as well, helping facilitate this program today. Our friend Austin Pasco. Also, our partners you see behind us, Extreme Networks, that are partners on this Heart of a Hall of Famer series. We appreciate your generosity and support for all these years with us. We couldn't do this program and do it for free for students all across the country without their generous support. And so thank you for that. But I do have a question. Now, we've had questions come in on the chat. A number of them come through on the Facebook Live, but I'm looking at one here. This question is from Austin and Miss Del Coco's class. They're in Lexington Elementary School in Lexington, South Carolina. And this student asks, who is or was your biggest role model in life?
Probably my grandmother. My grandmother, she's passed away now, but she was a midwife, and now she was a midwife for 45 years. Midwife is somebody who helps deliver babies, obviously. And so she was very authentic. She was very real. She lived during, she told me a story of when the British were bombing Copenhagen and when Nazi Germany was occupying in Second World War. She would be in a motorcycle with a Nazi soldier cruising through Copenhagen during the blackout. There was no lights and bombs were falling. And she would be going to houses to deliver babies. She had such a rich life. And I think she just, what I learned from my grandmother was the caring aspect. I think the love, the being authentic, and just from a woman who saw life being, being born every day, thousands of babies. There's no more powerful testament to us as humans, the miracle of birth. And so my grandmother probably is my biggest influence as far as like the character that I possess now, and the discipline and the doing whatever it takes. So yeah, that's it.
That's beautiful. And I think we could just end on that really, but I think we still got a few more questions. I got one more I want to submit in, and we actually have from Miss Hunt's class. We went from South Carolina, now we're going to North Carolina, Mariam Boyd. And I like this one because it's just kind of random. And students of Mariam Boyd asked, what was your favorite subject in school?
Jim?
Well, I loved gym, obviously. I was a language major in college, so I love languages. I speak German and French, English, Danish. I took Latin. So if I hadn't been a football player, I would have probably been a translator or an interpreter at the United Nations in New York. That was what I wrote down on a piece of paper a long time ago. But
very cool.
The American dream got in my way a little bit, and
I'd say it turned out pretty well.
It turned out pretty well. So, but languages was something I loved. I was also I sang in the choir. I loved that. That was a lot of fun. You talk about precision and being part of a team that's bigger than you. When you do choir, I mean, you got to be. If you make a mistake there, it's brutal. I don't know if any of you guys are do singing or are in music groups or things like that. Then you got to be on your game.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Mr. Andersen. Jake, I'm gonna send it back to you.
All right, thanks, Gary. Just got a couple to wrap up with. One, I want to ask about football, because we are the Pro Football Hall of Fame. We're unapologetically football, and then we'll wrap with our final question. But just a few weeks ago, we got the jersey, the cleats on display in Canton. Justin Tucker kicks the 66-yarder to beat the Lions, set an NFL record. So, question I want to ask: pregame practice in that field you practice on in a game, longest field goal you ever kicked?
76 yards. It was my own. It would have been easier to turn around, do a 180 and kick it that way. I was on my own 34-yard line. I had a little bit of wind, but I crushed it. I mean, I hit it, and it was doing practice in Spartan Stadium in East Lansing. I think I was a senior, so I was about 19, 20 years old, and I had a 63 against Ohio State at Ohio State that cleared by about 10 yards, and then I had a 60 in the Superdome against the Bears in '91 that hit the net halfway up. That would have been good from 70 probably. So yeah, those are fun when you can unleash and just let out all the hose and crush it. It's a lot of fun to take those big hits. And I just had Justin on my podcast, Great Dane Nation. If you guys want to check it out, I got a lot of football legends on there. I think you would enjoy it. We talk about life a lot. We talk about just their journeys, football guys that you would know, current and former players. So I just had Justin Tucker on there. I've had Jordan on from, I'm working on Kamara, hopefully get him on. So go check out Great Dane Nation on Spotify and Apple Music and wherever you get your pods.
Nice little plug there.
You gotta get my plug in.
Gotta get that in. And we're gonna wrap up here with our last question. So first off, thank you again for giving some of your time traveling into one of your second homes.
My favorite place for sure.
Throughout your career. But we wrap every program we do with the same question. And you've done this before, so you might know what's coming. But we've had so many great nuggets of information today, so many little pieces of information that even if you take one little sentence away from here, students, whoever is watching, that's the goal. But if you had to sum everything up that we talked about today, so this might be the hardest question you get today. One piece of advice you want everybody to walk out of here with. What is that one piece of advice?
I don't know if you guys know who Ringo Starr is. Ringo Starr was a drummer for the Beatles. Was a band that was pretty famous back in the 60s and 70s. He has 3 words: peace and love. Peace and love. So that's my, I think if we, and I'll elaborate a little bit, live authentic, purposeful lives, guys. That's it. Dig deep and understand that you guys are unique in every single person out there, that you're unique. And as long as you're given the opportunity, you can soar, you can tower above the rest. And you will. That individually you'll do it, and together we're the most powerful. But it's got to come from a place of respect and love and intent and authenticity. Be you, be authentically you, be your powerful self, and live that life that you've dreamed of. Trust your hopes, not your fears. Trust your hopes, not your fears. And you will soar, 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 and go.
Awesome. And with that, we're going to wrap up this latest. Go ahead. Round of applause. Go ahead. Yeah. Appreciate you guys. That's going to wrap up this installment of the Pro Football Hall of Fame's Heart of a Hall of Famer series with class of 2017 inductee, Mr. Morten Andersen. And as I said a few minutes ago, thank you for being a part of the program, taking time out of your day. To all of our students who tuned in today, thank you for giving time in here and letting us be a small part of your learning experience. To the staff here at Livingston, the students, thank you for hosting us, being a great host. And then to Austin and all of the support from the New Orleans Saints as well. Thank you for all that. A little gift for the guy that asked the question up front here. Again, Morten, for myself, Jerry, Nathan, all of our staff at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, thank you so much. And with that, we will end this installment of the Pro Football Hall of Fame's Heart of a Hall of Famer series. To all of our viewers out there, thank you. To all of our Facebook watchers, thank you. And we hope to see you next time. Bye, everybody.